Hey guys, this is Holly Barker, and I am the founder and creator of Grief Anonymous. And I wanted to share some important history, background, symbology, foundation as to what Grief Anonymous is about and how it all got started, and the concept with the symbol for Grief Anonymous, which is something that a lot of you see all the time. The one right here with the square and the circle, and the darker circles fading into the light, and then at the end the highest circle above is the light. Okay, so there's a lot of symbology that goes on with this, and I think it's really important that when you put together an organization from the grassroots perspective even, that it's really important that the people that are involved, the people who are members, the people who are interested, that it is truly, completely crystal clear and set out exactly what our intentions are, who we are, and how we came to be. And we will always be truthful to that. And I think that in that vein of honesty and transparency, I think it's really important that I explain this story to you that I went through and what brought me to put this organization together. So this one is probably going to be one of the longer videos, but it's really important that I truly give you guys the understanding as to what happened, why, and how. And it's from a very, very high level spiritual perspective. And I'm going to flash us back to 2006, and I was in my young 30s, and I had the world at my feet. I had a great job in the pharmaceutical industry in North Carolina, and my husband was doing great. He had just finished running his marathon, and we had a young child that was 4.5 years old, and he was just a spitfire. And we were just cooking right along in our lives and getting settled in. And I was at a regional meeting in Chicago and just finishing up a project team trip, and I got a phone call. And my husband said to me, I have melanoma, and I have to meet with an oncologist in a couple of days. And I hung up on him. And it wasn't because I couldn't hear what he had to say, but because this phone call that he had given me was keeping me from being next to him. And so I went into high gear, and I did everything that I could to get home. I wasn't supposed to fly back until the next day, and I made it there to come in and see him at 2 o'clock in the morning. So my life changed from that very instant. And through this whole process, some incredibly spiritual things have happened to me. And I cannot move forward with this organization without being very transparent about this actual experience that I had. The beautiful thing is that I started talking about this years ago, and it's on my blog. I started it when I started with the page when we had about 5,000 followers back in July, and started really talking about these things. And so I was transparent and honest up at the front. And you know, this organization has grown leaps and bounds in less than 8 months. And we're up to well over, we're up to almost 35,000 followers, and we've got 10,000 people in our grief groups, and we've got, hundreds of thousands of people on a week seeing our page. Okay, so something real is happening here, and it's really important that I show the basis of it, and it's grown so fast that it's time for me to come back and revisit this topic to teach you guys and help you understand what happened. So at that time, I was going through shock. I was going through denial. I was running him to different physicians, and I was asking for retests, and I was going through the epicenter of grief then, not after he passed away, but then anticipatory grief. And you know, we kept going. He was going through a lot of treatments and a lot of pain and surgeries. And then it came down to the fact that I had another person in my family that was close to me, and that person's spouse had cancer as well. And so here we were in our family with two people who were just starting out in their adult lives, doing great things, and who both had cancer. And my family decided to take a small trip up to a mountain retreat, and that's where we went, just to get our heads together about what was happening to us. And I just signed up for a regular massage, and I went in there, and there just something happened in the room. It just felt so calming and peaceful. And the woman washed my feet ceremonially, and they don't ever do that. It's never happened to me before, and never happened to me since. And when she asked me to get on the table, I laid on the table facing up, and she started the music, and she started with my head. And she just started doing these circular motions, and all of a sudden, this bright, beautiful, luminescent, palpable, breathing circle of light came into my vision, about like that. And I was so shocked, and I was like, oh my God, what kind of light bulb did I stare into before I came in here to see this? And I really tried to realize maybe that's what it was, and then I realized it wasn't a reflection. And then I kept looking at it, and it was just so beautiful. And I moved my head from left to right, and I could not change its position by moving my head. It stayed in the same place. And at that point, I started realizing that something different was really truly happening to me. And the minute my conscious level realized that this light was in my vision and was not moving and was looking at me, I felt my heart open up. And it was almost like a trap door into a storm shelter. And as it opened up, the most unbelievable love filled me from that light. And it just made me want to jump off the table and go and hug and kiss every family member in my life, every friend I had met on my journey. And I could not get over the incredible level of love that was being shown to me from this light. They didn't speak to me. I didn't hear words during this whole event. It lasted the entire hour I was on the table. But what I will say is they showed me that I would be writing. And I knew that I would be writing. They showed it to me. They showed me writing. And that's all I knew. And I cried. I was just so elated that the tears were just coming. I wasn't actually boo-hooing, but the tears were just streaming down my face. And the love was just intense and emotional. And it really did last the entire time. And then after that, it went away. And I thought, even at that point, I thought, oh my gosh, this woman, what did she just do? And I went and told my family about it, and they never had any recollection that I told them. I told my husband at the time, and he said, Holly, people are going to think you're crazy if you start running around hugging everybody and writing letters and telling everybody that you love them right when all this is going on. And I said, yeah, you're probably right. And the truth of the matter was, he wasn't in the wrong for that, because what I saw wasn't supposed to be manifest at that point. So you flash forward 8 years, and in that 8th year, Jordon had done so well with his treatments, and he had tried really hard to get up on his feet and do the best that he could. And at that point, he was running an entire company in a foreign country, and that's where we were. And you know, the thing is that he was diagnosed very quickly with recurrent metastatic melanoma in his liver, and he only lived 6 more weeks. And I want you to know that the writing started because I put it on a website that enables me to write it once. And everybody was able to go on and take a look at it so that I didn't have to say it over and over again that Jordon was dying. So during that time, which was a very, very short time, I started thinking about that light. And this is sort of what it looked like. Of course, it was gold, just brilliant, beautiful gold that you could look into and you would think would hurt your eyes, but it didn't. And it just had these moving pieces and parts to it. And, you know, I started thinking about that. And, you know, Jordon passed away at around 1:30 in the morning on May 9th. And an hour and a half later, I received an email from what's called Notes from the Universe, Tut. And I get his emails Monday through Friday. And it just so happened to be that it was on a Friday. And it came an hour and a half after my husband passed away. And the email, because I believe in signs from above, said exactly this. It said, write it down. Write it down, Holly. Write it down. And it took me a long time and almost like an epiphany to start realizing that the light that I saw, the love that I felt, and the vision that I was shown that I would be writing. And then my husband passed away in front of me from cancer in 6 short, terrible weeks. And then to get an email that's telling me to write it down, well, guess what? It started happening whether I wanted to or not. It was waking me up in the middle of the night. It was the first thing that I wanted to do in the morning. It was in the middle of the day. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And sometimes I felt like I wasn't doing the writing. My my penmanship would change. And things would happen. And I truly believe at this point, that so many of us lose our loved ones, that we are so connected spiritually in so many different facets. And we cannot deny this at Grief Anonymous. And I'm going to tell you why. Here is a print-off. Okay, here is a print-off from a picture that we posted from an author. Okay? And this picture says, sometimes I just look up and smile and say, I know that was you. And, you know, we gave the author credit for this, and there was a feather in the picture depicting signs from above. I want you to know that from this page and from this comment, my question was on the post, can you tell us about a sign you have received from a loved one who has passed on? And how did it make you feel? I was just curious to see if other people had had the experiences and the connection that I had had, and the intense emotions, especially during the epicenter of grief. And I want you to know that this particular post reached 1,043,852 people. It was shared, let me look, 7,984 times, and liked by over 60,000 people. And the comments were 1.1 thousand people. Oh, wait a minute, got it wrong. There were 16,000 shares, 1.1 thousand comments. And every single comment was talking about the same thing. Okay? We have the proof that this is happening over and over and over again. Okay? And all I can do is share my experience and what happened to me. Okay? And so from this light, from this experience that I had, came the symbol of Grief Anonymous. And that is the light that I saw. Okay? The little circles around them have been added by me. And the reason being is because in the 1 position, 1 o'clock position, the starting point, there's darkness. Grief feels heavy. It feels hard, it feels harsh, it's painful. There's not a whole lot of words that truly describe the deepest level and the darkest feelings of grief. And we know that because we didn't understand this before it was actually exposed to us as an emotion. And, you know, the point of the concept of the dark circles coming to light has so many different facets to it, whether it's allowing in just a little spark of gratitude for something, whether it's a sandwich or a phone call or a like from a post that you've put, you know, and adding in that little bit of light incrementally, it will get you where you need to be. It's about acceptance. It's about love. And it's also about the 10 tenets of Grief Anonymous. Okay? And, you know, the thing about grief is there aren't stages, and we need to debunk that myth of there being certain stages of grief. That is not, I mean, you know what? We're not going to slam Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She was an amazing pioneer, and she was working on a lot of important projects. And we are just picking up the baton and doing our best to become the gold standard and taking this forward and really making a definition of what grief truly is. You know, grief is love, guys. It's that love that we have that doesn't end, and yet our relationship and physical connection with that person is over, but that love doesn't go away, and that's what grief is. Grief is love, you know? And that's part of the tenets, is working through these different steps. And here's an example of what they look like. And these steps are non-sequential, which means that you can start at 3, and then you go to 8, and then you do 1 and 2, or you do combinations of this, or you do that. It's not about, well, I got to get past 1, and then go to 2 and 3 and 4. And because 1 is such a powerful aspect of there being a higher power of consciousness. Okay, some people, if they're angry at God, or they don't believe, or they're questioning what they feel, and they're going through a redefinition process, we don't want those people just stuck there and not being able to think that they can move along. That's not the case at all, because that's not how grief works. Okay, so you can choose what you need to start out with. And the best thing is when you're stuck, when you're feeling at your worst, choose something that's easy, that makes sense for you at the moment, and that you know is going to bring you peace, and that you can do. And just start living and breathing and working within that tenet, and start feeling a little bit better. And then you can start taking on the more challenging things as you start growing into this new normal that has become your life. And really, Grief Anonymous truly is about self-healing, using self-love in a communal environment that's here to support you in your journey. And we understand, because truthfully, I truly believe in the anonymous programs because they work. And that is why I trademarked Grief Anonymous. Okay? I really believe the whole spirit and concept of the anonymous life is important in grief, and it's that challenging. It's just as challenging as addictions and other issues that are going on, and we need a path and a guide to be self-healing, rather than just become an organization where people come in and dump grief and then just walk away, but nothing's ever solved. That's not what this is about. We are working on ourselves, but we're doing it in a supportive, communal environment, so that we don't feel isolated, and we feel like we can move forward into the lives that we deserve to live, and to heal, and to survive, and to give back, because we are morally obligated as people, when we figure out how to get through this, to go back to those soldiers who are stuck on the field and get them and move forward. And that's what we are, you know. And so I just wanted to get with you guys tonight and give you the true background of what Grief Anonymous is and what my experience was, and share again. So halfway mark into the launch process for the websites. They are coming up very soon, and we are very excited for every single person that's volunteering and helping and bringing their best to the table in so many different areas and so many different facets, and we are so blessed with their presence, and we will start shining the light on all of these people as we come to fruition with all of these projects, okay? Take care, Grief Anonymous family. My heart is open to you. Our doors are open to you, and please take a look on the feed for all of the different online grief groups. We are here for you in your time of need and want to be the source for you for healing and surviving and being able to give back through Grief Anonymous. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.